Konnichiwa, konnichiwa, and yabaseo. Will here of the OMSR, doing a little quickie polarant so you know what's coming up. Ben Carson and why it was so much more effective and thought-provoking, because frankly he is thought-provoking, more of an endorsement than Fiorina on the last episode. I went into that, didn't get too mean-spirited. I just would add to it that, you know, she has only one asset, and I don't mean innuendo by that, when she was talking about zero-based budgeting, but she didn't describe how to do that. And you'll hear Dr. Carson and the big guy, DJT, talk about smart people in America, 192 IQ, stuck in proverbial pro bono projects, business partners who can't compartmentalize past, you know, their current quarter of school when we have IT projects. You know, number 2 in our industry. We haven't made any money in 3 years. Okay, so hobbies become projects, become like full-time work. Again, pro bono. All right. So here Dr. Carson, talk about people in America. I've been saying this for a long time. There is no such thing as racism. There's a lot of anachronistic talk going on these days. And the last question you'll hear from a reporter, a fellow African-American, people of color. I've had subscribers and viewers on my channel on this particular segment talk about, yo, this brother's got it right on, black to white. And I hate that phrase. Exactly. People of color. I have a little subtle theory. When those in the media start to perpetuate language that wasn't heard, I don't know, wasn't hearing the phrase people of color 5, 6 years ago, certainly not 10 years ago. Why is that coming back again? It harkens back to an era that starts to bring up memories that maybe even those who aren't necessarily predisposed start to think in ethnist tendencies, not racism. Why? Well, there's only one movie ever made that describes it perfectly. Roll it.
All planets have a sovereign claim to inalienable human rights.
Inalien. If you could only hear yourselves. Human rights. My very name is racist.
And I think as the American people who we are focusing on, as they begin to see the real individual there and those who are helping that individual, I think we're going to be comforted as a nation. You know, we have to start working together. We cannot allow the agents of division to continue to separate us. As a nation, our strength is our unity. And we just have to sort of ignore those people who are always trying to stir up strife. And I'm appealing to some degree to the media as well. You know, you're part of America too, and should be interested in strengthening our nation, not in creating divisions, not in creating conflicts all the time. If we start having that American attitude, that American spirit that made us great, that took us to the pinnacle in no time at all, believe me, everybody will benefit from that. We're also talking about how can we make America a place that's successful for everybody. You know, we have 330 million people. We're going to be competing with China with 1.4 billion, India 1.1 billion. We have to develop all of our people. You know, the people who are the downtrodden in our society, we're not doing those people any favor by patting them on the head and saying, there, you poor little thing, I'm going to take care of all your needs. What we need to be doing instead is concentrating on mechanisms to allow those people to climb out of a state of dependency and become part of the strength and fabric of this nation. That's what America is about. It's not about dependency. And it certainly isn't about socialism. You know, socialism is seen as the panacea by some who don't really understand it. I think a lot of young people think socialism is just being concerned about other people. That's not what it is. You know, it's cradle to grave government. And you let them take care of you, but you give them all of your money, you give them control of your life. They all end up looking the same way. A small group of elites at the top controlling everything, a rapidly diminishing middle class, and a vastly expanded dependent class. That is not what made America great. Donald Trump talks a lot about making America great, but it's not just talk, he means it. I'm going to be helping him. Others are going to be helping him. One of the things that I've discovered in this country is we have some incredibly smart people. None of us knows everything, but when we begin to use those smart people effectively to accomplish the goals of America, you're going to see us once again begin to ascend to the pinnacle, to a much higher pinnacle than we've ever achieved before, and that's where America should be. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Ben. And Ben and I were talking lengthily yesterday, and it was an amazing conversation. One of the things that I realized is his great love is education, and he was telling me things about education, and it was so right on, and it was so good, and it's such an important element for our country. And I said, Ben, congratulations. You just have to get involved with us with education, because our educational system in the United States, as you've heard from my speeches, we're ranked at the bottom of the pack worldwide, and yet we spend the most money per pupil, by far the most money. It's not even close. Second doesn't even exist. So Ben is going to get very much involved in that, and he's going to get very much involved in healthcare, where he's an expert. And even during the debates, I'd always know Ben, when it came to healthcare and talking about health, Ben was in really a class by himself. So it's such an honor to have Ben. He's a friend. He's become a friend, and I really appreciate the endorsement, Ben. Thank you. Thank you. Any questions, folks? Yes.
Mr. Trump.
David.
Mr. Trump, two questions. First of all, did you guys sort of gently or formally apologize to each other for some of the nasty things you said to each other on the trail?
Yeah, it's politics. Yeah, it is politics. It's tough stuff. It's a tough business. I used to think real estate in Manhattan was tough. This is like, it's a tough business, this politics. A lot of things happen in politics that don't happen anywhere else. Yeah, so
you've been talking a lot about unity on the campaign trail and in the debate last night. Can you fill us in on any outreach efforts you're making to Capitol Hill? And then I also wanted to ask you an Islamic State question after that.
Yeah, we have been called by the biggest people in politics, not only Republican politics, but also the biggest people in Republican politics. And over the last couple of weeks, you saw Paul Ryan reached out, and terrific guy. I've always respected him. I've always liked him. And not necessarily agree on everything, because I'm very strong on borders and very strong on security. And I think Paul is, I think he's going to have his views, and I think probably certain things will change. But Paul Ryan reached out, and we had a great conversation, and many other people at the top level. I sort of get a kick. I see you covering one person who's saying Donald Trump must be stopped, and I talked to him 2 days before, and he's saying, Donald, we have to come together. We've been contacted by many of the biggest people in Republican politics.
Congressional lawmakers as well.
Well, I'm reaching out, but they're really reaching out to us because they see what's happening. We're getting millions and millions of people, additional people that the Republican Party has never had before. It's the biggest story. I said it last night at the debate. It's the biggest story in politics is what's happening. We are having millions and millions of people come up and vote for the Republicans. They get out, they register Republican. I've had so many people tell me, I've never voted Republican in my life. I left the Democrats in order to register as a Republican so I could vote for you. Independents, Democrats, and you see it. We're up 65%, more than that. Millions of people more. And that's what I'm saying. The Republicans now want to embrace it. I mean, I see it. They want to embrace it, Tom.
Then I also wanted to ask you about Islamic State quickly. Last night in the debate, you talked about potentially sending up to 30,000 American troops to the Middle East to fight Islamic State.
We have to get rid of ISIS.
That's more troops than George Bush sent to Afghanistan after 9/11.
We're going to get rid, and they're going to get back real soon. We have to get rid of ISIS. It's going to be up to the generals. We have to get rid of it, but the generals are going to be able to play their own game. I want to find out I have the right general. I want to find out we have the right general, Ben, right? We don't want to have the wrong general talking to us. But we're going to find the right general.
Barry McCaffrey.
Prepared potentially for a long war
No,
under
it's going to be very quick. It's going to be very quick. We're very powerful. We don't use our power. It was time. It was time. It was very substantive last night. I said before, it was a very elegant debate. It was very substantive. It was, Ben came in and he said, that was really a very beautiful debate last night. It's gotten great reviews as a debate. I won't tell people that I won, even though I did win, let me just say. I refuse to say that Time Magazine, 80, Slate, 84, Fox, 91% at Fox, I don't believe it. NewJersey.com, 81. So, I mean, we had a debate last night, and I think I did what I had to do, actually. But it was, I don't know, you know, we've had enough debates, in my opinion. We've had debates, these debates, they've been like Vince McMahon should have put them on, because they were WWE and too much. And I think that it really, I think last night was something that was very important, that it come off like that. And we didn't speak, and the candidates didn't speak about it, but it just sort of morphed into a very dignified debate. Yes?
Mr. Trump,
Yeah, go ahead, Sarah.
Mr. Trump, you said in the debate last night you hadn't decided whether you're going to accept fundraising for the general election.
What?
Whether you're going to raise money for the general
Yeah.
election. But if you go that route, doesn't it undermine your pledge to voters that you won't be voting?
Well, I don't think so, because I wouldn't be taking money. If anything, the party would be taking money. I'm not going to take any money. I don't want money, but the party might take money. It's up to the party. That's really up to them. It's not up to me. And it's something I haven't given much thought to. You know, I've self-funded my campaign. I put in, I guess I'll be in for $50, $60 million at a minimum. Right now, you know, I am somebody that's a business person, and even when I don't, the money is sort of irrelevant, but I have a natural instinct to be a little bit careful with money, because that's the way I am. That's the way we have to be with our country. I expect to have, you know, tremendous amounts of money in this by the time we finish. I guess right now I'm into, you would know better than me, maybe $30 million, maybe more. But other people are in for $150 million, and they're nowhere. They're out of the race. So I'm very proud of the race we've run. You know, somebody said, you know, he's only been doing this for 8 months. But I know the system better than anybody. And the reason I know, because I was on the other side of the system. So when they talk about campaign finance laws, when they talk about all of these different things, I've been there. I know it much better. And I know it from the real side, not from the politician's side. Yes?
Mr. Trump, I just want to go back.
Good job last night, by the way.
Thank you, sir. I want to go back to what Major asked and also what Tom asked about what Dr. Carson said this morning on the radio and here about the two Donald Trumps. So many people know you and like you because of your public persona. Is that the real Donald Trump, or is it something that we don't see?
Well, it's an interesting question. I don't like to overanalyze myself, but I will tell you that I try and be, you know, who I am. I want to be honest. Certain questions are asked of me, and I give a straight answer as opposed to a politically correct answer. I know the politically correct business better than anybody.
Would you answer differently if you were in private?
No, I don't think so. I'd like to. I answer truthfully. Look, we're at a point where we have to start being truthful with our country. Like the question on Islam. I'm answering the question, and I know the exact answer. I could have given an answer the other night to Anderson Cooper, which would have been perfect, and nobody would have been talking about it. It would have been fine. But there is a problem, and we've got to find out what the problem is. We have to solve the problem, and you're not going to solve the problem unless you know there is a problem. So I want to answer questions honestly and forthrightly, and even if I'm on a big stage with all of these tremendous numbers of cameras around, I have to answer honestly. It's the only way we're going to solve the difficulties of our country.
Start seeing more of that side of you. Can you elaborate a little bit on that?
Well, I'm going to work with Ben on so many different things. And I'll be honest, when I was with Ben yesterday, the thing that most impressed me, I know all about his views on healthcare because I've heard them, and I've always felt that he knew more about it than the other people on the stage. And perhaps he should, because that was what he was doing. But I was most impressed with his views on education. It's a strength, and it's a tremendous strength. And so Ben's going to be involved with us in any aspect he wants to be, but in particular on those two subjects. Okay. Yes, go ahead.
I meant more of this toned-down version, what we saw last night, what Dr. Carson referred to as your cerebral side. Do you plan to tone down your performances as
it depends. You know, you can't say. I didn't go there as a toned-down person. I went, and whatever happens, happens. You have to be able to swing with the punches. And, you know, to be honest with you, I went there. I didn't know if I was going to be. If I was hit, I would have hit back. Now, there are those people that said to me, I was telling Ben yesterday, there were those people that said, it doesn't matter, let them call you names, let them do whatever they want, stand there and take it. You're leading, you've got a substantial lead, nobody's going to beat you, don't do anything. And I say, I can't do that. When somebody hits, I have to hit back. So I thought they were very respectful yesterday. I thought, frankly, everybody did well. I thought it was I used the expression, I thought it was a very elegant debate last night. Yeah, go ahead.
Mr. Trump, two quick things. You said earlier that you felt we've had enough debates. There is potentially another debate scheduled on March 21st. Is your suggestion to the RNC at this point, guys, we've had enough?
I think we've had enough debates. I mean, how many times you have to give the same answer to the same question? Do you agree with that, Ben? I mean, same question, same people, same everything. I think, it would be nice to finish off with this one. I thought CNN did a fantastic job last night. I thought that Jake was a great moderator. It was just a really nice way to finish off the debate season. But I really think it's enough debates. I don't think there's any reason for the debates. I know they're getting very big ratings. And by the way, the Democrats are not getting ratings at all. And our debates are getting very, very big ratings. But, one of those things. I think we had enough. The networks want them. I don't think any of the candidates want them at this point. The networks very much want them.
Can you talk about also, there's a phrase you've been using the last several days on the trail and in interviews. You said embrace it to the Republican Party. I know you were asked a little about that earlier.
Yeah.
As you move forward now and as the contests start to limit, what are you going to do? Are you going to find yourself surrounding yourself with more people who are endorsing you, speaking on your behalf?
When I said embrace, I was saying that the Republican Party should come together and embrace these millions of people that are going down and voting. Millions, South Carolina, New Hampshire, no matter where it is, it's the millions and millions of people. We've had, I was going to bring down a list and I said I didn't want to bore you people, but we've had some states that are up 102% from 4 years ago. 102%. There's something happening that's really beautiful to see. And these are people, in many cases, as I said last night, these are people that have never voted. Ben, I have people coming up, they said, and I'm talking about 40, 50, 60, 70 years old. So many people. They say, Mr. Trump, I've never voted before. And they've got a Trump shirt on. I mean, they never put a political shirt on in their lives. They weren't political people. They never had confidence in the people that they were voting for. They said, I have had literally, when I shake hands with people or when I sign autographs, people are saying, I've never voted before, Mr. Trump, but I am so proud to be voting. And some people go early voting. It's been an amazing thing. And what I said to the Republican Party, the establishment, if there is such a thing, I guess I used to be a member of the establishment 8 months ago, but if there is such a thing, I'm not sure that there is. But I said, embrace it instead of fighting it, instead of fighting me like this, these people from Club for Growth. These are people that came to my office. They asked me for $1 million. I said, who are they? I don't even know who they are. They asked me for $1 million. And I said, well, let me think about it. Then I found out who they are, and I said, I'm not going to waste $1 million. Why would I give them $1 million? And as soon as I said that, they started doing negative ads. They went negative on me. If I would have given them $1 million, they wouldn't be doing negative ads. They're extortionists.
Well, first of all, we had a lot of excellent candidates. I think any of the 17 candidates who were running could have done a fine job. But one of the real factors for me is what will happen if we allow the political operatives to succeed in their endeavor to stop Donald Trump. I think it would fracture the party irreparably, and it would hand the election to the Democrats. And they would get 2 to 4 Supreme Court picks, and America would be forever changed. And that's the big picture. It's a very big picture. It's not about me. It's not about Mr. Trump. It's about America.
Why not Senator Cruz, ultimately?
Because I feel that Mr. Trump is willing to do what needs to be done to break the stranglehold of special interest groups and the political class.
Are there any remaining hard feelings towards Senator Cruz over what happened in Iowa?
I've completely forgiven him. That's a duty one has as a Christian.
Dr. Carson, you said throughout your life God has led you to your most important decisions. This truly is an important decision. Did God lead you to Donald Trump?
Which is a totally ridiculous question.
And I got a lot of indications.
Yes. God,
people calling me that I haven't talked to for a long time.
The question implies
I had this dream about
one-to-one direct contact.
I mean,
come on.
Just amazing thing. But I also tend to think that the way God speaks to you is by giving you wisdom.
through
And
others.
that
Yes,
wisdom
very well
says to
said.
me
That's what I was
that if
alluding
we
to. That's
allow
what I am
this
alluding to.
attempt
That's what I'm saying.
to disrupt the will of the people to be successful, it will fracture the party in an irreparable way. And that will hand the election to people who I personally believe would destroy our country.
You know, that was like a loaded
question.
question.
I say that
yes, God
is
told
because,
me
you know, Hillary Clinton
don't get me
was a
started
great
on
friend
certain
of
other
Saul
sects of
Alinsky.
Christianity.
She was on
That's
a
on the
first-name
channel, by
basis
the way.
with him
Mitt
when
Romney
she
and
was
all
a
that.
student. Saul Alinsky wrote the book Rules for Radicals. And if you haven't read it, I recommend that you read it and see the kinds of things that are recommended to change, fundamentally change this nation from the great success that we have to a socialist country. And the dedication page of that book says, dedicated to Lucifer, the original radical who gained his own kingdom. I don't want anything to do with anything like that.
What I hear you saying is the effort to stop Donald Trump is what motivated you to endorse him. Is it Donald Trump's qualities for the presidency or this movement against him that puts you where you are right now?
It's about we the people. We need to empower the people. That is not going to be done through politics as usual, be that Republican politics as usual or be that Democrat politics as usual. It requires somebody who's a bit of an iconoclast, but someone who has the ability to listen and to make wise decisions.
Dr. Ruffin, do you think that, going back to what Mr. Trump said about embracing these people, you had a lot of evangelicals come out to a lot of rallies, and David, you were there when I was there. Do you think that that people will be representative of the American people, and do you think you can help bridge the gap with evangelicals as well as with people of color now that you're endorsing Mr. Trump?
Well, you know, I hope that we can bridge the gap with everybody. All the policies that I have ever talked about, and Mr. Trump is going to be on board with this too. We talk about things that are good for everybody, not for this group or that group. The whole concept of picking and choosing winners and losers is something that I think is antithetical to what we believe, don't you? And you know, that simply would not happen with a Trump administration. We would be looking at ways to do things that benefit all Americans, that create an equal playing field, equality of opportunity. That's what we're looking for. And that doesn't mean that we're not sensitive to people who are downtrodden. In fact, we're very sensitive to people who are downtrodden. And we'll be putting in place things that will allow those people to ascend. Many people have been placed in a position of dependency for generations. They don't even recognize what's going on.